We basically doubled last month. And the craziest thing, and that's why I think it's relevant for this call, is that I wasn't freaking out. I wasn't like, I got to work twice as hard. Like I didn't work anymore. It's like we have systems, like especially just like bringing in one of my guys a little bit more to like handle the cold email infrastructure funnel that you guys helped us build just inside of Airtable. Like he actually has proper systems now to where when I go, hey dude, this guy used to work 5 hours a week, and I hit him up and I was like, hey dude, I need you to work a lot more. Like, the systems well, like I need you to do this stuff. And he's like, cool, let's do it then. And I didn't really have to like do too much to be like, here's how it needs to be done. He just kind of follows the process inside of there. There's some gray areas on like little things we got to buff out for just to get it perfect. Right. But like, I wasn't freaking out. My business doubled in a month and I wasn't like, holy shit, all my systems are falling apart. Like I'm so stressed. And like it just worked. And I was like, great. That's exactly what I want, is a scalable system that can just double. Well, I'm Taylor Haren, founder of Sales Automation Systems. We send, I don't know, we're about to be sending 10 million emails every single month. Used to be 2 million emails just however many months ago. And we work as a cold email consultancy, helping a lot of our clients really just deliver their good offers into inboxes. And we don't really work as like a lead gen agency where we're just trying to drive results. We very much work alongside clients and help them figure out their messaging market fit and how to do AI outbound at scale. So we send millions of emails every single month, and every email is written one-to-one to each recipient with the best deliverability in the world. And my whole philosophy is deliverability first, offer second. We take care of the first thing, but you got to take care of the second thing if you want really good results. So that's us.
There we go. Micro celebrity in the cold email space.
Yeah. Well, so we have. Let me say. Well, yeah.
I just try to keep my head down,
we have a client who heard we were working with you, and we're like, oh my God, you can get me in touch with Taylor. And so they paid you a bunch of money for your consulting. Is probably more expensive now than it was even then. But
it's hard to figure out how much to charge for consulting with like your take home. You're like, oh man, what's worth my time now? No.
Right. Expensive. Taylor's very expensive. One of the interesting things about you was you had built out a lot of stuff before you came to us. So you had a pretty decent system, actually, to the point where Tony complimented you on it, and we ended up bringing on the developer. You introduced us to the guy who had built some of your stuff. So I was curious. It's sort of an interesting situation where you, I think, were capable of doing a lot of stuff on your own, and you still chose to hire us. Talk us through that decision, because there's some people that are thinking of working with us where they're already pretty decent at building systems. So where were you at, and what was your decision-making criteria for deciding to still, come and approach us?
Yeah. It's interesting because like everything you guys are even building right now, I'm like, yeah, I could probably build that. Right. And so I have a lot of knowledge of what you guys are doing, which is really cool. But I mean, really, it was just, I was looking at my time spent, right? And I was talking to one of the guys on my team, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like super overwhelmed right now, but let's just get the work done. And he's like, what are you spending most of your time on? I'm like, oh, like, let's take a look. And I'm like, wow, 90% of my time is spent right now building automation so that way our business can run properly, right? And I think the highest lever any entrepreneur can do is how to pay other people for the work that is worth their time. So that you can free yourself up to work more. So for example, if I can work an hour and create $2,000 of income from that work, the second that's the equation or whatever that number ends up being, the second any task I am doing that is less than that amount per hour should 100% just be outsourced to somebody, right? And so you guys also knew your stuff. And so when I was thinking about the decision, it's like, it was mostly like okay, well, I'm just one guy. The biggest bottleneck and constraint on the business right now is actually me and my speed in which to knock stuff out, right? Like, it doesn't matter how good I am at this stuff. I can't compete with you guys having, 8 or 20 or however many people you have working on our stuff. I'll never be able to compete with that, right? And so it was like a no-brainer on the expect, because it just allows me to highly leverage my time so I can actually like continue just expanding the business more, right? So.
There we go. I think one of the things you mentioned, and the reason Ryan asked this question is there's two types of clients that come to us. Either it's clients that are just completely lost and they kind of want us to kind of handhold them through the entire process, or there's people like you or kind of previous software engineers, just people with a systems thinking mindset, and they're bringing on someone for this exact reason. One of the, I would say, difficulties that we oftentimes face with clients such as yourself, which we haven't faced with you, is that process of being able to let go and actually trust someone to do the stuff. So how was your thought process of, well, obviously we interviewed your, who was one of your freelancers who was building systems for you. Then we kind of got him through our recruiting system. We ended up hiring him full time.
Yeah, it's great.
He's awesome. Still a developer with us. So I'm sure that built trust. But overall, how are you thinking about, outsourcing, which in my mind is a very integral part of your business, very important part of your business, which is kind of your day-to-day operating system through which everything gets done, and feel okay with delegating that to someone else? I feel like oftentimes that's a problem we're facing with people, and they're just kind of hesitant to kind of let go and let someone else tinker with that. How are you thinking about stuff like that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure why that's easier for me. Well, one, I need to see like expertise displayed, right? But also, like I've noticed the people that I do have on my team, I have like one full-time guy, I have one part-time guy, and I have a personal executive assistant that's like a VA that helps me just with just my digital life, right? And the common factor between all of them is that they're entrepreneurial, where my just life view and expectation is that you're going to take self-responsibility and accountability over your own stuff, and I don't need to like babysit you or do anything or whatever. And I'm rather here to just equip you to be able to grow your skills more. Like I remember listening to this one gal talk, and she talked about how if you take struggle away from people, you aren't actually making their life easier. You're not allowing them to actually develop the skills that they need to actually cope with real life, right? Which I totally like agree with that, right? But it was one of those things where like I believe that, but then I noticed that I maybe might do too much for people. So like I like actually having like I've kind of flipped it around completely to where I actually really like when people struggle with stuff, and I actually kind of enjoy not just giving them the answer because they need that epiphany moment to actually be able to like grow better, right? And at the end of the day, it's like I think a lot of people are just, I mean, I see it all the time. Like we had this one guy, or we have this one client right now where they're like, hey, this guy got this email and it didn't have the first name and blah, blah, blah. And he was like freaking out. And I was like, dude, we're sending 100,000 emails a day. Like, if 1% of them are wrong, that's 1,000 people telling you to F off. You need to be able to handle that, Right. And so like most people are just so perfectionist, and I don't know why, but, and I also just know that like, I probably wouldn't be able to do it that good either. So like, who am I to be super critical on it? So like, there's a balance of like, the standards need to be up here, but also like, if I assume good intentions on the other party, it's really easy to just be like, well, they're genuinely trying to build the best, and so any gap there is just a lack of knowledge, and then you help them with that, and then it's really easy. So I don't know. It's just kind of a certain frame, and then of course, if people don't perform, like you're able to fire them and just move on. Right. So like you don't really lose much in every instance. It's kind of like we have maids that take care of our house or whatever, right? Once a week they come through. It's like $200. It's like one of the best levers on our time possible, especially for my wife. It's like, how much is $200 worth in our time, and like we can just do that lever, but like we aren't going to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, you guys missed this effing spot over here. Like we might bring it up and be like, hey, when you guys were last here, you guys missed this spot, but I'm not like going to be angry with them or like fire them or something like that, right? It's like, no, you're already like making me better than I was, so like let's just continue to make it better from there, right? So yeah, I don't know.
I wish we had more clients to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard to teach. I know.
It's hard to teach.
Yeah, as much as we were talking, like this is like testimonial 30, 32, 31, 32, what is something in there.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the things that actually bites us sometimes is people talk to you or they talk to somebody else that they like admire and they're like, oh, I heard you worked with OpsKings, and so they must think that like everything we ever do or anything any vendor ever does is like perfect and matches their very lofty expectations. And so it's interesting, like for us, like that's our attitude towards people as well. It's like we
assume positive intent.
Yeah, we just know like, hey, we're just trying to get better. It's like as long as we're all pulling in the same direction, like everything's good.
Well, it's like we have one client right now where they're like, dude, results are horrible this week. And I was like, okay, like let's look into it. And deliverability is great. Reply rates are great. Positive reply rates are great. But signups were low. They like fell off by like 90%, right? And he was like, we can't keep doing this if this is what the results are going to be or whatever. And I was like, whoa. Chill the hell out, dude. When we were working with our B2B, or we still do, but in June, our entire email infrastructure completely fell apart and nothing worked. And we had to completely, move to our own sequencer and like do everything that you guys know. And I hit up Adam and was just like, hey, dude, email deliverability is total shit right now. And we're probably going to be down for like a month. And I just remember him just being like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks for figuring it out. And then he just moved on.
And owning it, right?
Yeah, he was just like, cool. That's why I pay you, to figure stuff out when it breaks. And there's so many people when they're like, oh, it's breaking. So I had to like explain to this client, it's like, hey man, here's a certain frame. Like, it's great to be in a position where your issue isn't deliverability or replies or positive replies, and that it's instead signups, because you can control that. So like, it's just telling us where the constraint is on our business. And I just find so many people, they can't, he was super receptive to it, but like so many people can't, like I'm so cool at just like shit breaking. Like that happens, it's just like, a lot of people just aren't realists. I don't know, man.
I built some internal stuff for our team, and actually Steven is like he was like loudly, not like complaining, but he's like, man, this thing is broken. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. Because what it tells me is this thing that I built for him, he's actually like using it so much that he's like noticing like these little like optimizations. Nuances, he's like, oh, but like when this like AI call logger thing does like this, it makes this other like, and he needs it to work, right? And so in some ways we see like change requests and bugs and stuff from a client in a very positive way, because we know that we've actually identified a problem that's so important to
relevant
you
enough
that you're leaning into, and like you need this system to work.
Yeah.
Right. In the same way that if your internet went down or your electricity went out, you would complain about it, versus whether like the mailman was 10 minutes late, you wouldn't even notice.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Right.
I got a quick question for you. The rumor has it, because I had multiple people tell me this that are in your closer circle, that are some of our clients right now. You allegedly doubled last month or the month before that.
It's a really good thing to bring up, actually. Yeah. Pretty
so let's expand on that. Is that rumor? Is that urban legend?
This is what Taylor's consulting fee is going up, is because of that. Anyways.
Yeah. So we've doubled every quarter since the beginning of 2023, which isn't the craziest thing. January 2023, I made $875, right? But still, doubling every quarter. And then, last month, we did something. So the month of October, we did something like about 147 in revenue. And then in November, we did 236, basically. And that's not even accounting some larger projects that we're working on. So we basically doubled last month. And the craziest thing, and that's why I think it's relevant for this call, is that I wasn't freaking out. I wasn't like, I got to work twice as hard. Like I didn't work anymore. It's like we have systems, like especially just like bringing in one of my guys a little bit more to like handle the cold email infrastructure funnel that you guys helped us build just inside of Airtable. Like he actually has proper systems now to where when I go, hey dude, this guy used to work 5 hours a week, and I hit him up and I was like, hey dude, I need you to work a lot more. The systems well, like I need you to do this stuff. And he's like, cool, let's do it then. And I didn't really have to like do too much to be like, here's how it needs to be done. He just kind of follows the process inside of there. There's some gray areas on like little things we got to buff out for just to get it perfect. Right. But like, I wasn't freaking out. My business doubled in a month, and I wasn't like, holy shit, all my systems are falling apart. Like I'm so stressed, and like it just worked. And I was like, great. That's exactly what I want, is a scalable system that can just double at like as fast as possible. Because then the second I see that happening, it's like, great, I'm going to hire a sales team. We're going to be doing a bunch of outbound on top of this, and we're going to try to 10x our volume every single month.
From here.
And that's when you can rapidly accelerate. And even Hormozy kind of talks about that, where like you need to get to like 1 million, 2 million, just doing one thing and doing it way better. But then the second you do that within that 1 to 3 million range, is that you need to hyper focus on systemization and optimizations, and all of your growth should come from those things, not necessarily from trying to grow more. And then when you do that, that's how when you can take a 3 million business and just flop it into a 10 million business.
Yeah.
And so I think we're, doing our best to try to follow that exactly. And you guys are very key with that whole thing. I brag about you guys all the time, as you know. So
I love that.
Awesome. We appreciate it.
I want to give a shout out to the team who's been behind this. So obviously,
for sure, yeah,
who's been your guy before. Now he's our guy, but we still lend him. We're kind enough to lend him to you here and there. Harry's been behind this, and now more recently, Steven. What's been your experience working with the guys? Obviously, me and Ryan, we're here, but these guys are kind of pulling in most of the work.
Yeah, from what I've been able to, each of them personally, great, like easy to talk to. They push back on me, which is really great because I don't know what I don't know. So we do a good job of breaking each other's ideas to get to the best idea, which is it's a huge thing I need from people that I'm trusting with stuff. Is I need them to push back and disagree with me, and not. I very much dislike yes people. So none of them really fit that bucket, which is stellar. But then on top of that, I noticed like when they're going into our calls, like the summary calls afterwards, or the way that they come into a call with like, cool, here are the things that we need to talk about, or here's the status for this current sprint or whatever. So I see glimpses of your operational backend that you use to be able to manage that stuff. And it's all been top notch, So yeah, nothing but great things there to say for sure.
I love it. Hopefully the guys will listen to this. The guys will listen to this.
Yeah, we share testimonials in Slack. So I'm like, hey, watch this, guys. Like this client just said he doubled.
That's great.
This client just said he. It's good. It's good. It's good. Shout out to the team for sure.
I love it. Honestly, that's all the question I got for you. The final one, at least that I always ask, is for someone that's considering even talking to us or potentially working with us. What would be the things you would tell them?
I think there are two primary buckets, right? So, like a few of the friends that I referred over to you, where I'm like, dude, they know automations too. They're just like me, but I'm like, how much? Like, I remember talking to one of them that's working with you guys now, and all he's working on is automations. And I was like, dude, and I just went over the math with him of like, what's your time worth versus what someone else could do, and like the break even point was like, oh, if they save you 10 hours a month, it's worth it. Why wouldn't you do that? So like there's that bucket there where it's just like I think a lot of people need to more highly lever their time and be not afraid to, because you get the ROI pretty fast back, especially like if you just delegate 10 hours away and then you just play more Call of Duty, like that's one thing. But like ideally you're delegating that and you're actually doing something more productive with that time. So that's kind of the first bucket. And then the second bucket, right, is just like anybody who, this is almost more necessary for you. You're trying to scale a business and you don't know this stuff. Like, but even we're guilty of this. I think it's hilarious. But like before we worked with you guys, like we still manually bought all of our domains, which was fine because Cloudflare was like, hey, you can't buy more than 50
and you're sending
a day.
10 million emails a month. And for those in the cold email space, you can probably imagine how many domains is that? It's a lot of domains.
Yeah. Right. It was fine because it wasn't breaking yet. But then we closed the client and we're like, we need more than 50 domains today. So what do we do? Okay, we need to figure this out. And then like now, we'll rip 2,000 domains in a day now, man. So like you're turning, what used to take 100 weeks, actually 10 weeks into that, which is pretty crazy, right? But like that's just an example where like I look at some people where they don't even know. Like we knew it was there, but we just hadn't implemented it yet.
Yep.
But like most people don't even know, so they're doing all these manual things. They don't have systems in place, and so it just holds them back so drastically. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And final. I know I said a final question, but final question: did you try Prospects Tears? Is it good? Is it any good?
I did. Yeah, I'm very curious what type of whiskey it actually is. Like,
it's a blend.
So it's a blend.
Oh, it's a blend. Oh,
yeah.
Is there some Buffalo Trace in there or something? Or because it tasted a little bit harsh, like a Buffalo Trace. I don't know.
Also, no idea.
I'm not a whiskey guy.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not. So I know what I like and what I don't like, and that's about what I can I can distinguish like a PD Scotch from like a not PD Scotch, and that's about as far as I go. And then with wine, everything is like pretty much like I like this or I don't like this, but I can't tell you the like notes of whatever this is like. Oh, this is definitely oaky. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so funny too because it came in and I was like, dude, this is badass. And I know you said there should have been a card, but there wasn't. So I was like, I don't know who this is from though. So I'm just popping into every group chat. And it's funny too, thinking back
on Twitter, you're like, who bought this for me?
I checked all the group chats that I'm a part of with hundreds of people that I consider friends, and like no one got it for me. And I'm like, I guess I'll go to Twitter. I don't know. Like, what the heck do I do with this? But I should have remembered. I mean, Tony, I think you said, "Hey, expect a package," so I should have remembered that. You know, but it was still super funny. But it was, it's rad.
Yeah, I wanted to go for copywriters tiers because there's a whiskey called Writers Tiers, and I was like, oh, how cool would it be?
Yeah.
But it was like too long for the.
You said it was too big of a text field or something, right? You're like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
So
you know what it was? It was too long by one character, and so somebody suggested like just cut out the apostrophe, and I'm like, yeah, but if you call something copywriters tiers and you mess up the writing, that's like a really like that doesn't make sense, right? Anyways,
yeah,
that's it.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
Taylor, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for answering our questions. And I think you're going to get another package for Christmas. All of our clients are going to get another package for Christmas.
Surprise.
So
don't reveal the secret.
You're not going to reveal
Don't reveal the secret. No.
Dude, I'm excited. I like that you guys do this stuff because this is stuff I want to do. Like once we get past this Grandmaster sequencer build, like there's so many little things where I'm like, okay, I need to get this part right and all of that kind of stuff. So love seeing it, but thank you. Yeah,
love
it's
it.
great.
Cool. Taylor, thanks for the call.
Absolutely. Have a great day, guys. Good to see you.